Hello everybody, this is Barbie. I'm here today to play around with some embossing folders and some oxide sprays. I had a request from one of my subbies to show how I had made a particular embossed folder that I had put in one of my, I think it was an envelope stack folio. Anyhow, I just was playing around, so I couldn't tell you exactly which colors I used, but I do remember I did use the Tim Holtz oxide sprays. Okay, but before we get started, I'm going to show you something here that I haven't worked on in a while, but I think I'm going to go back and visit this technique, and if anybody might be interested, let me know, and I'll do a tutorial on it. This is a piece of fabric that I tore off of an old sheet, and then I layered it with Venetian plaster. Now, Venetian plaster is made from fine ground up marble, and that's what they used to use on the walls in the really old vintage buildings, and you can still get the Venetian plaster if you want to plaster your walls. So you can also use what they call mud, which is a plaster when you're doing sheetrock. You can use that as well. But I've tried both, and the Venetian plaster is just superior when it comes to how it hardens. It doesn't crack once it dries if you get a little too thick. Anyhow, I'm not going to go on because I've got other things I want to show you. This was a collage I did using the Venetian plaster, and I laid down a bed of plaster, a thin bed of plaster on top of a piece of old sheet. And then I took some, like this is an old postcard. I collaged that in, actually just embedded into the plaster. These are pieces of lace that was and netting that was embedded into the plaster. So you can see how that left a raised relief. And all of your little ups and downs, it just shows up so pretty. I came back over the top of it after I had sprayed some different sprays on it. I don't know what color that was, doesn't matter. You can use whatever. And dry brushed it with gesso, just plain gesso. So then this little girl here I painted, but it's painted on top of an old photo. So you can take a print that you have, and you don't have to be a accomplished artist to do this, but it's like you paint over the top of the photo, and it gives it the painterly look without having to start from nothing. It isn't too much different, I don't guess, than painting from nothing, but you have the outline and you have kind of the shading and everything that you can go by. That's one idea you can use. This is what I did on this one. Or you can just use any kind of printed photo or a real photo you want to put on there and just embed it into the plaster. Then you can go over the top of it with mixed media if you want, like collage media. You can spray it if you want to seal it. I have not sealed this yet because I still had different techniques I wanted to do. And so now that I'm finished with the technique, I'll come back after this is good and dry and probably seal it with a matte sealer, spray matte sealer is what I'm thinking, because I don't want to put a shiny coat of any kind on it. I want it to look vintage and old. My thought on this is probably what I'll do is cut portions of this out and use it maybe for a journal cover. That's what I'm thinking. So there's that. And then there's another little collage I did here, but a little bird I painted, and I don't like it because it was when I first started, and it looks a little bit, I don't like it anyhow. So I'll probably take all this mess off, and I might use my little painted bird on a journal cover or something with some different collaging, etc. So then this is a piece of fabric that I just got through. It already had the Italian plaster on it. And this is what it looks like, just laid on top of. So you just take a gesso knife or a palette knife or whatever you want to use. You can use anything. You can use a credit card. And skim a piece of, skim the plaster over the top of just any fabric. I like the cotton fabric, seems to work best. And I like to use the thinner fabric, kind of like the old sheets, because you're adding plaster on it and you don't want it to get too thick. So this is what the other side looks like. This is the fabric side. So you can use both the fabric side, which allows this to have more texture to it, or whatever you want to call it. There's all kinds of things you can do to this side as well. And then this is the other side, where the stain I use bled through, and it gives it like an old paper or fabric look, like how it stains with age, you know. So you can come back and maybe put some coffee or tea on top of this and knock that white down a little bit, and you'll have a really beautiful old looking fabric to put on your journal covers. So these are going to end up in journal covers, I imagine. This look here I was trying to get, let me make sure I'm still in frame, because I think I moved it around. Okay, it's still good. I was trying to get it to look like an old piece of tin, like the old ceiling tiles that were painted white, and then they started rusting. So you could still see the old white paint coming through, but you could also see the old rusted bits of tin. So that was what I was trying to go for there. And I used the Tim Holtz oxide sprays for that. I can tell you what I use, but I can't tell you, because I mixed them all up. I would put some down, then I'd use some more. So it's basically just playing with it. I'm gonna do some paper, and I'll show you the technique, how I get what I get. But I can't really tell you how I got this, other than I can tell you, I think I started off with the rusty hinge. Then I sprayed on some gathered twigs. Now this is the oxide spray. Then I used some of the old paper. Then I used some of the Perfect Pearls Heirloom Gold on it. I didn't notice that that did too much of anything, actually. I don't know if you even need that. Then I used some of the Oxide Spray Antique Linen. Now, in between all of this, and the very last thing I used off and on was a Vintage Photo. And I kind of went back and forth between the Vintage Photo and the old paper and the antique linen to kind of decide how much of darkness or light I wanted. So that's up to you, play with it. But when you spray these oxide sprays on, they're activated by water. So usually what I do is spray a layer, one color down or more. I think I used 3 colors at one time to begin with. And then I lightly sprayed it with water. Then I might, if it was too much water, then I'd take paper towels and dot it around just to get the excess water up. And then I used my heat gun and dried it good. So it was just a process of doing that back and forth until you kind of get the look you want. And the very last thing I did was I took my Vintage Photo Distress Ink stamping pad and just rubbed it over the top. So you see all of these like old places where it looks like the tin is really rusted, and you can see the texture. That's what did that. Then I also came back with some gesso and just kind of dry brushed it around here and there if I thought this was too dark, which in some places, it seemed like it was a little bit on the dark side. So I think I might go back and dry brush. I got this a little bit too white, I think, so well, I'll just do that right now and show you what it looks like. Let me see. I don't want to use my ink pad, my stamper, so I'm just going to do like this. Just lightly brush it over the top till you hit just the very top. And it gives you a little bit of contrast between the lights and the dark, I mean the in-betweens. And it kind of looks like, I don't know, makes me think of an old rusty piece of tin. There you go. And I would call that good and just let it dry. So, if for some reason you thought that was too dark in places, you could take a baby wipe or just a piece of paper towel and touch a few places here and there if it felt like it was too much paint. So that's basically it. Anyhow, that's something that you can play with. Okay, so what we're going to do today is, this is an embossing folder by Spellbinders, and it's what they call a 3D 5x7 embossing folder, and it gives you a three-dimensional effect instead of just being two-dimensional. So one of the secrets of using this, I have found, and I'll show you the difference. Here's a piece of heavy cardstock, which I think it looks best on heavy cardstock. And I just dry embossed that. So I just stuck it in there and embossed it. And I can see how I didn't pick up all of the little small embossing on it. I mean, it's okay, it'll work out all right, but it's not, this is an envelope I did. And I just left it like that and ran it through this is a 5x7 envelope, which worked out perfect. Just ran it through the embossing machine, the Big Shot. So if y'all don't know how to use a Big Shot, there's all kinds of tutorials online to go and use it. I didn't want to start from that point because I wouldn't be able to get to the point I'm trying to get to by the time, and also I don't have room here. I have to go to a different table to do the embossing. I can't get my camera over there, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. Okay, now this, what I did is I took the same cardstock, just a different color, and I sprayed it, a light spray, mashed it around, like just kind of mooshed it around, flipped it over and gave it a light spray on the back and did the same thing. So what that does is it softens the fibers of the paper and it allows the embossing to come through a whole lot better. It's just more distinct, and you're picking up all the little, like that right along there, didn't get really picked up good in the dry embossing. So that's what I always do, especially if I'm going to use like a heavier cardstock. So if you're going to do this technique, you need to use a heavier cardstock if you want to get the look. Okay, let's get on to the painting of it. So I think, I don't even remember what color that other was, and to tell you the truth, I didn't even really acknowledge that envelope I did using that technique. I should have, but to tell you the truth, I don't know, probably was brain dead by that time. I don't know why I didn't even say anything about it, but I don't even remember what color it was. So I'm just gonna show you what I would do if I wanted to try to make this maybe look like an old piece of leather or whatever. Okay, I'm gonna start out with a little bit of water, just to help it start absorbing. And I think I'm gonna start out with, let me think for a minute. I think I'm going to start out with a kind of a, I think I'm going to leave the smoky gray to the top, and I'm going to start with a darker color. I want a dark color. What color can I use here? Now there's one thing too about these oxide sprays. You have to shake them up. They got a little ball in the, let's just start out with Vintage Photo. They got a little ball, as you can hear in there, and there is paint that has to be mixed up good. Not that it won't work, but it just has a little bit more of the oxide look if you mix it up good. Okay. Now, put a splatter of water on there, and what happens is the water starts separating from the paint. So it, like, I don't know exactly how it works, but it gives it different textures. And you can see what's happening now. And you see the difference in the colors. That's what gives you that motley look. And you can't, I don't think you can do it well if you don't use the oxide sprays. That's my opinion. But, you know, each to his own. This is my technique, put it that way. Okay, if you don't like the sound of a heat gun, either fast forward or mute it, because here it goes. I'm getting ready to do this. I have to do this. Okay, this doesn't have to be totally dry, but it needs to be somewhat dry. Now you can see already the interest that you're getting there just by spraying that water over the top. So the next thing I would probably try is, I think I'll go for gathered twigs. And gathered twigs is sort of another brown color, but it doesn't have as much red in it, I don't think. So we're gonna try that. And I'm gonna kind of hit the outer corners with that. And you see already the motley look. So we're gonna try spraying on that for a little bit. Now, see what happens if we just spurt a little bit of water on it. You see how it changes? It actually picks up the underneath paint. See? Sit just for a bit. It makes like watermarks. You know what I'm saying? There you go. Okay, let's see. What else will we do? Let's try, okay. Where's that color I was wanting to use earlier? I was thinking about maybe hickory smoke or ice spruce. Let's try the ice spruce. You can put as many coats of this on as you want. You can just play and play and play. Let's see what this does. Oh, I kind of like that. Yeah, it's pretty. Okay. Okay, I think we need a little bit more darkness to it. So let's get bold here. We're gonna try black marble. Ooh, this is bold. Make sure this comes out. Now this is a Dilutions ink spray. You notice I'm wearing gloves. Tim Holtz oxides aren't so bad about staining your fingers, but boy, I'll tell you what, this Dilution is. You don't want to have paint on your hands for weeks. Use gloves. Okay, let me see. See what happens here. It's not good. Go overboard, huh? Oh, that's scary. Hold it. I'll put a little bit of water on there. Yeah, there you go. I think we need some more of that on there. I want it around the edges. Okay, let's see what happens there. Now, let's just move it around some. All right, see what that does. Woohoo! Well, let's just turn it upside down and mess around with it. All right. Okay, what else can we do? I think it's a little bit, I mean, I like it. I don't know how it looks on camera, but it looks, I like it. But I think we can play with it some more. I'm not ready to give up and say this is the best I can do, so I am going to use, I don't have a silver, but I do have a hickory smoke. I wonder what that would look like. Like I said, you can do it as long as you want. You just keep on spraying. So if you don't like what you see, put some more on there. Yeah, and I'm gonna mix some of this old paper with it because it's kind of like a, see how that's mixing with the colors underneath? Trying to get some drips out of it. So, there you go. See what happens there. Now I'll put a little bit of water on it too. There you go. Now, let's see what happens. Okay. I like that, but I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to try, I got some, you can also mix, what color do I want? Excuse me. You can also mix Holtz Stains with it. Let's see what happens when you do that. Yeah, I don't think I like that applicator. Well, maybe so. I don't like that applicator. It kind of smears it about. Scratch that idea. Let's see. Let's try this. This is some Tattered Angels, and it's like gold. It's called Camel Glam. Let's try some of that and see what happens on top. Now, this, I think I'm going to, I don't have a little something to put it in, so let's see, I think I'll just, you really should put it in something. But I'm just going to pour a little bit here. I'll put that down. This is going to give it a bit of a metallic look. Now, I don't know what's going to happen if you try to put more of the oxide on here after you've done this, because this almost feels like it has some kind of sealer in it. So, let's see what happens with that. I like the looks. Let me put this aside. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and dry that off and see what we got. Looks pretty good. You see the glitter in it? Makes it shine a bit. I like that. And I don't know if you can see all the coloration in it. One other thing I think I'm going to try. Let me set this aside. If I can find it real quick. Need to try to, hold on a minute. Oh gosh. Just hit me that might be a good thing, but I didn't think about it a while ago. And I don't know exactly where it is. What I was looking for is a sander block, because I want to sand off some of that paint so that you can see the relief. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Hold on a minute. I rearranged everything as usual and can't find anything. Here we go. See if that'll work. Oh, it may not be dry enough for me to do this. Yeah. I think it probably needs to be a little bit drier, but maybe I can get it to work. Now you can do the same. Uh-oh. See, it's not dry enough. I'll have to glue that one back down. But it's starting to work somewhat. See? So what you're doing is just basically removing some of the paint from the relief areas and give it a bit of more texture so you can see your relief a little bit better. I'm not mashing very hard because, like I said, it needs to be a little drier. See what happened there. Let me get my little glue and glue it down. Now, let's see, where's that? I do have something else here. I don't know if it'll work or not. I have an emery board that isn't a really good piece of sandpaper there. It's been used before and it's not the right grit. Okay, I can probably fix that with something at a later date. Now let's see what we got here. I'm going to dry that off one more time. And another thing you could use is if you've got some that metallic rub-on paste, that would be pretty too. But if you want it to just look like an old piece of leather or metal or whatever, I think this looks pretty good. There's still some highlights there. You've got a little bit of metallic look, and you've got some oxidation going. I think I'm going to go just for grins since we're doing a tutorial here and we want to see what happens. So I don't know if it's going to take it or not since I've used that other Tattered Angels, I hope you could understand me over that spray. Since we've used that Tattered Angels just for grins, we need to go ahead and let's give it a test here. Let me get my box back over here because it really does make a mess if you don't do it in a box. Make sure I'm back in frame. Yep. So as you can see, this is what it's looking like. I mean, it looks really old. Looks like it's a bit of metal or something that's been all charred is what it looks to me like it's been in a fire or something. Okay, let's see. We're gonna try one other thing. You're probably saying, no, don't do it. You ruin it. That's okay. That's what we're doing it for. See if we ruin it. See what we don't want to do next time. Okay, I think I'm gonna try this ice spruce again because it has it's kind of a gray, but it has a tint of blue in it, and I like that. So let's see what happens. Okay. Just put a bit of water on it. Now you can just leave it like that, and don't move it, and just let it dry, and it will dry on its own and be really pretty too, but we can't do that, of course, unless we got a time-lapse camera, which I don't have. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dry it off. Well, I like that, but it kind of disguised the relief, which is not what I was wanting. So let me see. Let me get this box out of the way for a bit. Let me see if I can get some of that off and see what happens. Now, okay, this is a baby wipe. That seems to work somewhat. Because I like that in the middle. I just didn't want to totally negate our relief, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of what it did. but you can paint over the top of that, so that answered that question. This fine stuff here on the side, these little leaves, I think you're almost going to have to sand those in order to get that relief to come up. So I'm going to dry this off real quick, and then I'm going to come back one more time and see if I can hit that with the sanding block. I wished I had some of that rub-on stuff, and I do somewhere, but you know, it's one of those things, how you gonna... Can't find it. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna try real quick. This is that antique linen. Whoops. Probably not a good idea. Well, that's working pretty good. Yep. Just hitting it real lightly with my finger. You don't want it to go down the cracks too much. So and like I said, if you had some of that rub and buff or some of the metallic rub-on stuff, I forget the names of some of the other brands, but this would be a good time to do that. That's what I'm trying to say. You could also use gesso at this point, which always works good too, because the gesso will pick up the underneath paint, but it'll leave a bit of... Do I have gesso around here? All right, I got some. I'm going to try it, because that's not doing what I want. Come on. We're on the clock. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to just try it on my finger. Yeah, let's bring it up a bit more. Yeah. Real light. And a circular motion seems to work good. And it's picking up some of the underneath paint, which then kind of, you know, helps incorporate it into the underneath paint, which is one thing that this type of paint's really good for, because it picks up the underneath paints. See how that brought that out? Oh yeah, I'm seeing all kinds of relief here I couldn't see before. Thing is, just don't get too much on your finger. Kind of wipe it off. Yeah. Yeah. Too much. That looks pretty good. I like that. Now, let's see if we can. All right, let's see what happens. Now, if you say, oh, I like it right where it's at, well then stop, you know. You don't have to continue. but I'm experimenting, so I want to see if I go further, is that an improvement or is it a hindrance? I need some darker color underneath. That's what I need. Darker color. Let's see what color we have over here. I wonder if I could use some of this vintage photo stain on there. If I just took the top off. No. I don't want to do that. Alright, let's see what I got over here. Ground espresso, that's not dark enough. Pumice stone, that's an interesting color, I remember that. Some of these colors, when you look at them in the bottle, you think that's a nondescript color. I don't care for that, but when you spray them on there and they mix with the other colors, it comes out really cool. Alright, hold on a minute. I'm getting ready to spray this here in the middle of everything and everyone. Hold on a minute. I gotta spray this, move this out of the way. Oh, too much stuff. All right, let's see if we got it back in frame. Yeah, it's good. Okay, let's see what happens here. Now, that's interesting. Vintage photo. First was pumice stone. And I'm gonna put a little bit of water. Yeah, I'm liking that. Now once this is dry, I'm going to spritz a little bit of water on it to get back to some of those like spots. I like that dark coming through. I'm going to see if I can find my rub and buff stuff, but I'll have to come back and show you, or I can post it on Instagram to show you what it looks like in the final yeah, see, I need to break that up some. So, I think that's good. Alright, let's see if we can get some water on there. There you go. Let it sit just for a little bit. Lightly touch it. And those spots come right out. Yeah, I'm gonna put a little bit more there in the middle if I can get it on there. Okay, you can also spray your rag, get it a bit damp, and just touch it here and there. Kind of take off some. Get that a little bit wet. Don't want it too wet. Want to be able to see a little bit more of that relief. that's looking better. I'm going to touch those spots a little bit with a damp paper towel so they're not quite so spotty. And I don't want to get off the dark in the underneath part, but I want a little bit more contrast. So that's why I'm very lightly touching it, just to touch the relief. Get rid of some of that spotty look. Okay. I'm going to dry that. I think I'm going to call that good. I've probably been playing here for 2 hours. 45 minutes. I lose track of time when I do this sort of thing. Anyhow, I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into what you can accomplish just playing around and putting layers of paint on and just keep playing until it's the way you like it, you know. There's no rhyme or reason to it. There's no big mystery. It's just a matter of playing around till you get it the way you want it. Okay. Dry that off and see what that looks like. I still think that probably I might like a little bit more darkness in there, but we'll see. Got something here called Lindsay's Gang Moon Shadow Mist. Maybe we'll spray that on top. It's a multicolor greens and browns. That sounds interesting. I just think we need some darker color or something to kind of pool around those that relief to give it a bit more interest. But you can see, if you like that more of a leathery look here, how you can, I can't talk, leathery look, you know, what you can do to get that. All right, I think that's good. We don't want this to get over an hour long. It takes so long as it is to upload it, rather. I'm always saying download, but upload, you know what I mean. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. Maybe nothing. Maybe nothing, because this thing is probably stopped up. Yeah, stopped up. So the stuff that has mica in it will end up getting stopped up over time. All right, let me just brush here. I'm just gonna be real technical and touch it around. I like that color. Yeah. Yeah, that might be the ticket here. See how that's bringing that relief out? Okay. If it dries as pretty as it looks right now, that was a good thing. I'm going to get up some of the puddles. Not a lot, but some of them. Very lightly, touching it. Okay. Oh yeah, I like that. All right, let me dry this off. You see all the colors? Whew, that's exciting. Yeah. Never know unless you keep going. This is a ticket. Well, I hope y'all like it. I like it. Kind of iridescent greens and all colors, but mainly green, I would say. Almost looks like a piece of copper that has that, you know, when it starts turning green. There you go, that's what it looks like. Looks like aged copper. So, that's the idea. Yeah, there's another thing you can think of. If you start out with kind of a coppery color at the bottom, you wouldn't have to put all those layers on there probably. Then you can use something like what I used there, that Moon Shadows. Where's it at? Lindsay's Stamp Gang, Moon Shadow Mist. That's what it's called. Yep. I really like that. And once it gets totally dry, it's going to even change more, but right now, I think you can tell without me continuing to do this any longer. I'm going to stop. I'll put some pictures on Instagram if you're interested. But you can see what it looks like. Yeah. I think I'm going to come back with some, if I can find some copper rub and buff, and I'm just going to lightly hit the relief so it's like the old copper, you know. The relief is still showing copper, but the verdigris, like it's on copper, will be down in the cracks and crevices. That's my idea. But I don't want to take your time going and hunting for something, because I'll have to hunt for it for sure. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the demo. You can do a bunch of these up at one time, which is what I'm going to do. I've got a whole bunch of things that I have embossed at the moment. And since I got my paints out and everything, I'm going to go ahead and spray up a bunch of them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate them. I'm going to spray one color or whatever, and then just spray another one, and that by the time I get down to the end of my embossing, I can go back and start all over again. I think that will be a really fun way to do it. So you don't have to waste time blow drying, it's what I'm trying to say. But you can continue to do your painting. Yeah, there you go. Very cool. I'm going to look and see if I have some silver, so I can maybe do one that looks like tarnished silver, and the same thing maybe with gold. Good idea. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you'll give it a try yourself. It can allow you to have some very unusual, one-of-a-kind journal covers, or for whatever you want to use it for. There's all different purposes. And this is out just of a piece of brown cardstock. That's all it is. But it looks like metal. You can also emboss in metal. I have some real thin metal, copper and different colors I can emboss on too, which I may do some of that as well. It's nothing unusual. It's just you use the metal instead of using paper. So until next time, where I try one of my harebrained ideas, this is Barbie. Hope all is well and having fun crafting in your craft rooms and spending the day with me, hopefully. And I hope you will give this a try if it interests you. And please let me know if you enjoyed my video. If you haven't subscribed and you feel like that it might be of interest, my channel might be of interest to you, I would really appreciate you signing up and subscribing and hitting the bell so you will get notifications when I do my videos. And also, if you like my content, just give me a good thumbs up. Appreciate it. That will help my channel grow. And I hope all is well, and everyone is COVID free. So far so good. We're good here. So until next time, this is Barbie saying bye bye bye. Have a beautiful day.